Our third monster is a dragon. And just as with the previous monsters that we looked at here in Beowulf, we have to really kind of stop and ask ourselves some questions. Why, why would we have these monsters, as well as, what they represent? Important thing to remember regarding the period literature that we're working with here is it is didactic. What does that mean? This is when the literature is meant not only to entertain and draw the listener in, but it's meant to teach a lesson. Could be moral lesson, or it could be a spiritual lesson, a lesson on behavior, right? We've already seen with Grendel and Grendel's mother what they embody, and that creates monsters. What do we have with a dragon? Of course, everybody knows that dragons sit on a pile of gold. They want riches and treasures just for the sake of having riches and treasures. What is that? That is greed. That is avarice. Another one of the 7 deadly sins. So this clearly ties in with the literature teaching lessons. We want to avoid these sins. We don't want these sins to inhabit us. Why? We'll become monsters. And with the dragon, it really doesn't make sense to have a great big pile of gold that you're sitting on, because it's not like the dragon can, take that and buy Bitcoin or go shopping on Amazon or anything like that, right? It's just for the sake of having it. But remember, here we have Beowulf, right? What is he? He's a hero. We've moved forward in the text and we can see here, I risked my life often when I was young. Now I am old. But as king of this people, I shall pursue this fight for what? The glory of winning. Yeah, you're absolutely right. We can make a strong case for Beowulf being infected with pride. Now, in the previous lecture, we talked about the differences in the fights, battles with the monsters, how each one gets harder. Now we're with the third monster, and this is it for Beowulf. This is it. His sword breaks. He ends up dying, although he's victorious, and he needs help. He needs help in order for victory to be achieved. One thing I'd like to do is go ahead and have us take a look at the example paper. And we'll go through and take a look at the paper here. We can make some annotations, hopefully help you out when you sit down to write your papers. Remember the font here is Times New Roman, 1-inch margins, size 12, double spaced. Your name, my name, the class, the due date. You want to be sure that you're giving your papers a good title. A good title is going to draw the reader in, as well as let the reader know what the paper is going to be about. You never want to have title of an essay number 1. Right? That's just not good. Heroes no more. So what we want to do is we want to have some type of title that's going to reflect the content. Now here we have our opening. Remember that the mini essays are just 300 words, and that 300 word count goes just like that. Remember, inside this opening, we should see your main idea. It needs to be clear and direct. Can't be a question. It's got to be a statement that you could approve, right? And you want to just have your opening be 1 to 2 sentences in length. So here's my opening. Beowulf's author predicts a disastrous end for Beowulf's tribe. This is seen in the lessening of the heroic ideal, as well as in the end of the Geatish people. Okay, now we can see the connection here, right? The lessening of the heroic ideal. That connects to what? My title of Heroes No More. That's what we mean by having a title that reflects the content. Next, what you want to have are 2 body paragraphs that support and explore your main idea. And we have to use quotes from the text. Why? A lot of people say, why do I have to use quotes? When you go to church and the preacher preaches, where does the preacher get his or her authority from? The text, scripture. This is why. Your authority comes from the text. So here we go. Beowulf is the complete hero, a warrior of great prowess, as well as a generous and protecting ruler. The importance of his armor reflecting his stature is seen when the Geats arrive in the land of the Danes. The watchman is struck by the sight of Beowulf. Now, here I have my quote. You can see that it's enclosed with quotation marks. Here's my citation. And remember, we cannot drop a quote. The quote has to be part of a sentence. Then we have to have our citation. With poetry, you want to put line numbers. So that's why we have line numbers here. Nor have I seen a mightier man on this earth than the one standing here. These backward slashes we use to indicate when there's a line break and it goes from one line to the next. So that's why we have those slashes. Even the monster Grendel senses that it made a mistake in choosing to battle Beowulf for one of his victims. He was desperate to flee to his den and hide with the devil's litter. Right there we have again. The quote is built into the sentence. There's my citation. Remember, guys, that the period always goes after the citation. Throughout the poem, Beowulf's author reinforces the hero status with additional examples of brave deeds and excellent rule. What do I have here? Here I have my concluding sentence to this paragraph. And what is it doing? It's providing summary as well restatement of my main idea. That's a very good thing to happen with a concluding sentence. Now it's time for my second body paragraph. Beowulf's successor, Wiglaf, however, serves as a contrast, representing a lessening of the heroic ideal. So here I go, continue to work with my main idea. For example, Wiglaf is first introduced to the reader when he, like the lesser men of the tribe, ran for their lives. Wow, that's never happened before, right? Because Beowulf is always just so full of energy and just vigor, as well as wanting to prove himself, right? Those are some of the heroic ideals. So what do we see now? This running is what? Lessening of the heroic ideal. And this is not going to bode well for Beowulf's tribe. Though he feels remorse for deserting his king and returns to finish the fight, saying, "Let us go to him, help our leader through the hot flame and dread of fire. His stature as a hero is diminished." So again, this main idea, I keep hitting it. I keep hitting it. I'm not going to walk away. I'm going to develop it fully. Wiglaf then speaks the future of the nation after he strips the warriors and discredits them. A warrior will sooner die than live a life of shame. When Wiglaf states, "Now war is looming over our nation, soon it will be known to Franks and Frisians that the king is gone." The end for the Geats is complete. Why? Beowulf, remember, has been doing all these hero acts so people talk about him. Fame, that the story has to live longer than the man. Word's going to get out that Beowulf, this not only a great ruler, but he's killed all these monsters. He is something else. If he's dead, everybody's going to come in and attack. So the loss of the hero, the lessening of the heroic code that we see in the behavior here. Wow. Now, what do we want to have? We want to have our closing. And just as with the opening, we want to keep this brief, just 1 to 2 sentences. Beowulf's death signals the end of the Geatish people and certainly of the glory they won during Beowulf's reign. Right? 300 is the target. You get a little bit of over-under as seen in the rubric, but please remember, word count, this is part of your grade. You want to exhibit control in your writing. So, wow, we took a look at the example paper here, how to construct it as well. We finished our 2 brief look into Beowulf. And again, Beowulf, this is a book. If you like these hero tales of the Anglo-Saxons full of war and wandering and monsters, certainly pick it up and continue reading. Until we meet again, be well, do good work, and keep in touch.